One of the most common things I hear from the guys I work with is I already eat pretty well. I train consistently. I feel like I'm doing everything right, but something's still off. And I get it because when you're running a business, leading a team, managing a family, and still trying to show up physically, it can feel like you're already doing a lot, but not quite getting the return you should be getting from it all. And here's the thing, it's usually not that you're doing the wrong things, it's that there's no real structure holding all of those things together. So today I want to walk you through what I call the 5 pillars of high performance health. These are not beginner concepts. I'm not here to tell you to start going to the gym more consistently or drink more water. You already know that stuff. This is for the guy who's been training for years, who takes his health seriously, but wants to actually optimize it, wants his health to fuel his business, his relationships, his performance across the board. When you genuinely dial in these 5 pillars, sleep, training, nutrition, stress, and habits, results aren't just possible, they're guaranteed. So let's get into it. The first pillar, and honestly the one most people underestimate, is sleep. And I'm not just talking about getting 6 to 8 hours. Everyone knows they should be sleeping more. I'm talking about protecting your sleep like it's your most valuable business asset, because that's exactly what it is. Sleep is the anchor of everything else. Your training, your nutrition, your mental clarity, your decision making, it all runs downstream from the quality of your sleep, not just the quantity. What you want to be focused on is maximizing your deep sleep and REM cycles. Deep sleep is when your body physically repairs itself, so muscle tissue, hormones, immune function. And then REM is when your brain consolidates information, processes stress, and sort of resets emotionally. So if you're shortchanging either one of those, you're not actually recovering, you're just surviving and going through the motions. So how do you actually protect it? You build a pre-sleep routine and you actually stick to it. That means consistent sleep and wake times, even on the weekends. It means bringing your light exposure down in the evening, keeping your room cool and dark, stepping away from screens at least an hour before bed. No more doom scrolling until midnight. That's not a reward, that's just stealing from yourself and from your performance tomorrow. When your sleep is dialed in, everything else in your life gets easier. You think sharper, you're less reactive, your appetite is more regulated, your workouts are more productive. Sleep isn't the boring pillar, sleep is the foundation that makes all other pillars actually work. Pillar 2 is nutrition, and specifically nutrition built for performance, not just for aesthetics. Most experienced guys I talk to are already hitting their protein goal, and that's great, but protein alone isn't the whole picture. If you want your body to perform at a high level, you need to understand how to use all 3 macronutrients strategically. So let's start with carbohydrates. Carbs are your primary fuel source for training and for cognitive performance. The key is timing them properly. Get your carbohydrates around your training window, so before training or after your session, because that's when your body is primed to use them for energy and for recovery after. So mistiming them and you're just storing them for no reason. Fats are critically important, especially for men over 30. Dietary fat is the raw material your body uses to produce testosterone and regulate other hormones. Cutting fat too low is one of the most common mistakes I see high performers make. Keep your healthy fats coming in consistently, from whole sources, quality oils, whole eggs, nuts, fatty fish, things like that. On protein, aim for roughly 1 gram per pound of body weight. Keep it consistent and spread across your meals throughout the day rather than loading it all into 1 or 2 sittings. And then the 2 things that people always underestimate: micronutrients and water. Your minerals, your vitamins, your electrolytes, these are the machinery that makes your metabolism run. Eat real food, prioritize variety, and drink enough water. Half of your body weight in ounces is a solid baseline to work from. Whether you're in a calorie surplus to build or in a slight deficit to lean out, the structure stays the same. Nutrition isn't complicated, it just needs to be intentional. Pillar 3 is training, and this one shifts the longer you've been doing it. When you're in your 20s, you can train however you want and still make progress. But as you get older, as life gets busier, as responsibilities start stacking up more and more, the way you approach your training needs to evolve. It needs to be smarter, but not necessarily harder. The goal here is to build and sustain high performance as you age. And that means a few things, right? So first, your program needs to actually fit your life, your schedule. If you're trying to run a training split that requires you to be in the gym 6 days a week when your schedule realistically gives you only 4 days a week to train, that program is already failing you before you even start it. You need to build around your life. A training program you actually follow is infinitely better than a program you can't be consistent with. Second, stay adaptable. Switching up your exercises, exploring different movement patterns, staying curious with your training helps your body responding and keeps your joints healthy. The guys who've been doing the same exact routine for 10 plus years and then wonder why their shoulder hurts, that's not dedication, that's rigidity. And third, train for your actual demands. As a CEO, as a business owner, as someone with real responsibilities, your body needs to perform in real life and not just look good in the mirror. And that means training for energy, for mental durability, and for stress resilience. Strength, conditioning, mobility, all of it matters. The aesthetic results will come as a byproduct of training with that real intention behind it. Pillar 4 is the one that quietly destroys more results than anything else, and that's stress management. For men over 30 with real careers and real businesses, chronic stress is one of the most common and most overlooked health problems that there is. And I don't mean stress is just uncomfortable, I mean it is physiologically breaking down your body if it's not managed properly. Here's the simple version of what's happening. Your nervous system has two primary states. There's your sympathetic state, that's that fight or flight, high alert, cortisol pumping, body on the edge mode. And then there's your parasympathetic state, rest, digest, recover, repair. The problem is that most high performers are living almost entirely in that sympathetic state. Constant deadlines, constant pressure, constant stimulation all over the place, and the body never gets a real signal to come down and calm down. What happens when you're chronically elevated in stress? Your cortisol stays high. Cortisol breaks down muscle, stores fat, tanks your testosterone, disrupts your sleep, and clouds your thinking. So you can train hard and eat well and still not get the results you want purely because your stress load is undermining everything else. Managing your nervous system is a real skill. It's breath work, it's deliberate downtime, it's protecting space in your day where you're not consuming or producing or reacting. Getting your body into that parasympathetic state on a daily basis, it's not soft, it's performance tool. The clearest thinkers and highest performers I know are not the only ones who push the hardest every day. They're also the ones who know how to actually recover their body and mind. And that brings us to the fifth pillar, which is habits. Because all of this, the sleep, the nutrition, the training, the stress management, none of it actually works if it's not built into the fabric of your daily life and schedule. Habits are how you stop relying on motivation and discipline and start running on systems. The same way you have systems for your business is the same way you should be having systems that work for you for your health. And they don't have to be dramatic. Some of the most powerful ones are just simple. Getting morning sunlight and going for a walk right after you wake up, that single habit activates your circadian rhythm, primes your cortisol curve for the day, and gives you a window to think clearly before world starts demanding things from you. A walk at lunch improves blood flow and brings you back to that baseline midday. A short walk after meals dramatically improves blood sugar regulation and digestion. Stretching and warming up properly before you train, drinking water consistently throughout the day instead of playing catch up at night, building a real wind down routine before bed instead of crashing. Those aren't big, complicated protocols, right? They're small, simple daily actions when layered together create a lifestyle. And when you have a lifestyle built around your health, longevity stops being a concept and starts being something you can actually feel every single day. So there it is. Sleep, nutrition, training, stress, and habits. 5 pillars, one simple framework that when you actually dial them in all together, produces the kind of health that carries over into every other area of your life. And this is exactly what I work on with my clients, not just getting them into better shape, not just getting them a six-pack, but actually building the structure, the routine, and the performance foundation that allows them to operate at the highest level possible. in business, in life, in everything. If any of this resonated with you, make sure you're following along because this is the type of content I put out consistently every single week. And if you want to take this further and actually put a personalized plan together for you, link is in the description. Let's talk.